Well, we made our trip to Indian Springs, and I knew I was going to do a video upload from being there after a couple of days, but my data plan on my phone wouldn't allow me to do any updates like that. So I just had to overall do the trip, and this is what happened. When we first got there, we knew that the south end of the lake was pretty well blown in with snow like it was before, and only ATVs and stuff are really coming in on that end. So we came in from the north side and drove almost seemed like forever, almost seemed like 4 miles by water, but you know, it's not even 4 miles long. But anyway, there was a little bit of people out there that had the same idea we did. So we plopped down out there and drilled some holes, put the permanent down. We thought we had everything all perfect because it was minutes, and a 13-inch perch came in and just smoked this new jig that I've been trying to work out with. It's made by Rapala. It's called a Rip and Wrap. It was a number 5. It was the kind of a crawdadish color, and he didn't hesitate to hit that jig. So I'm thinking, all right, you know, nice 13-inch perch right off the bat. We're gonna be really good out here. So I had a couple other schools come through, and they didn't even think about hitting that jig. So I was kind of like, well, now what? So another friend of mine had told me about being up there last year, and had a lot of attention to the blue and chrome. So I put a blue and chrome number 5 Rip and Wrap on, and the next 2 fish, I had 2 walleyes come through, and they just smoked that thing. I mean, one of them didn't even show up on my sonar. He came in there so aggressive, he hit that thing, and it just surprised me. The second one that came through, I did get a chance to do a little bit of work with him, but he was pretty well deciding that was going to be his dinner, and he inhaled that thing. He had the whole jig in his mouth. Both hooks were set. I mean, that fish was definitely not getting away. Now here's the downside to that. Well, he had the whole thing in his mouth. That meant the line was in his mouth too. Probably a rule of thumb that you should do is anytime you get a decent sized fish is that you should always check for nicks or cuts in your line. I missed that step, and I paid for it dearly. I had a third fish come through with authority, and he took the only blue and chrome number 5 Rip and Wrap that I had, essentially on the hook set. Whether it had been a northern or a walleye, from what little bit I got to feel, that was a nice fish. I've never ever had an issue with the line I use. I use Power Pro. I've never had that line fail on me unless it's been compromised. And I'm thinking that the walleye before that had that jig all the way in his mouth, I mean, the line probably raked across his teeth a few times, and that's pretty much a shame on me. Needless to say, like I said, it was the last one I had of that color, and they were definitely interested in that color. I spent the rest of the weekend trying to find something else that was similar to that, but just a friend of mine had the blue and chrome number 4, the smaller size one, but he wasn't having the luck that I was having with that number 5. I don't know, they just wanted that bigger jig. And I really wish I'd have had a spare. I can assure you that I won't do that again. I'll make sure that I have a spare in my tackle box, and I'll take the extra 5 or 6 minutes it takes to check my line and cut out any bad spots in my line and retie. I mean, it was a no-no on my part. We spent the rest of the day, we only had a few schools come through. It was pretty slow. We noticed people were slowly starting to pull out. Part of it, I think, was because of the weather that was coming in. And we eventually decided that we wanted to get to the north end of the lake as well with the snow and the blowing that was coming in. So we moved from there. I did venture off in the snowmobile for a little bit, venturing out into 16 foot of water. I didn't mark any fish out there, so we decided to go to the north end and go sit in the road grade. When we got up there, there was already quite a few people up there in the road grade. So we thought, well, maybe this was the right thing to do. The thing about that is that there's always two sides to a road grade, and I think we chose the wrong side. The weather had gone downhill quite severely. It was almost 30-mile-an-hour winds by then. Visibility was dropping pretty fast, and we decided that we were just going to tough it out and maybe hopefully get some fish that came in on the side, and it didn't happen. There was no night bite. So the next day when we were able to, Jeff and one of his friends jumped in a truck and went driving around looking for some stuff. And another friend of ours named Jason said that he fished it in the summertime and knew that the weeds were out there generally right around 8 foot. So they went, trolling up on the north shore, trying to find the edge of those weeds. And then we went ahead and he marked some fish there. Well, we moved the house and everything up to that north end there. We were off all by our lonesome out there. Usually for us, it usually ends up being a good thing, which it turned out to be all right. We didn't get the volumes of fish that we thought we would, but the quality was definitely there. Just about every walleye we caught that we kept was 17 inches or better. We did get some, 14, 15-inch walleyes, but we always turn those loose. I did manage a 23-inch, nice fish. When we did get home and we did clean those fish, we found out that 23-inch was a male, which I can't remember seeing a male that big before. So I'm interested in finding the females in that lake. Every walleye we caught was a male. That means the females in there got to be massive. Oh gosh, I'm so excited to try and venture more into that lake when it's a nice day out. Unfortunately, this coming up weekend, it's also going to be, wind minus 25, 30 below zero wind chills. My fishing partner has to work this weekend, so that's going to be my excuse for not venturing out in the nastiness. I wish we would have ended up capitalizing on those perch, because goodness sakes, those perch in there they are footballs. Granted, a 13-inch perch, it's a really nice perch, but even at 13 inches, it was a stout fish. I mean, he was definitely a challenge. I mean, it was fun bringing that perch in. I have heard of some 15s coming out of there, and I couldn't imagine what it would be like to pull one of them up through the hole. Maybe someday. I don't know exactly at the point where we are as far as where we're going to venture out at. The lake was getting pretty well snow covered. We kind of like to be able to use a permanent when we can. And with that lake getting as much snow on it as it had, the permanent is probably going to be, I don't know what we're going to do yet. I guess if it gets bad enough, maybe we'll just leave the permanent on shore and we'll I guess use it as a mobile hotel. I don't know. I guess we'll find out in the future. As far as future video blogs, until I go fishing again, I wish you a happy new year and happy fishing.